She didn't go out to die. She just wanted to forget. But the moment she lifted that third shot to her mouth, a tall man in a black suit took the glass from her hand and said, calm and dangerous, "You're not doing this to yourself tonight." The bar lights in Manhattan were warm and low, the kind that made people feel prettier and less broken. Music pulsed in the background, couples laughed, drinks clinked. It was a normal Friday night for everyone, except for her. Ava Mitchell sat alone at the counter, holding onto the stem of her glass like it was the last thing she could control. Her phone screen still showed the same photo. Her ex-fiancé, Ryan, kissing her friend in the apartment Ava helped decorate. The betrayal wasn't just romantic. It was financial. It was humiliating. It was everything at once. She had lost her job the week before. Budget cuts, they said. She had deposits from the almost wedding she couldn't get back. She had rent due. And now she had no fiancé. So she did what a lot of broken people do. She went out to get drunk faster than her sadness could catch her. The first drink burned, the second numbed, the third was about to erase. That was when the wrong man saw her. "Rough night?" he asked, leaning too close. "Please don't be nice," she muttered. "I might start crying." He laughed like it was cute. "Then let me take you out of here." She was dizzy, and the room tilted. The bartender looked at her with concern, but other customers called him. The man took his chance and wrapped his hand around her arm. "Come on, sweetheart. Fresh air." She didn't like the way he said sweetheart. She tried to pull away, but alcohol made her slow. Then everything stopped. "Let her go." The voice came from behind them. Low, steady, not loud, but it was the kind of voice people obeyed before even turning around. The man in the black suit, tall, dark hair, expression carved in stone, stepped between Ava and the stranger like he had every right to. His suit was too elegant for a normal night out. His eyes were too focused. The other guy lifted his hands. "I was just helping her." "No," the man in the suit said. "You were helping yourself. Now leave." He didn't argue. He didn't dare. He just disappeared into the crowd. Ava blinked, trying to see straight. "I didn't need—" "Yes, you did," the man said. "Sit." He handed her a glass of water and signaled the bartender. Her tab, and cancel the last drink. The bartender nodded quickly. People respected him, or feared him. Ava stared. "Who are you?" "The man stopping you from waking up in a place you don't know." "That's not your business." "Tonight it is." Outside, the cold New York air hit her face. The black car was already waiting. Like everything in his life happened exactly when he wanted. The driver opened the door. "I'm not getting in your car," Ava said, trying to sound sober. His eyes narrowed just a little. "Do you have anyone else coming for you?" Silence. "Do you want to go back in there and try your luck again?" She swallowed. "No." "Then get in." She did. In the car, she leaned her head back. The leather smelled clean, expensive. She heard the driver ask, "Where to, Mr. Conti?" Conti. She had heard that name before. Men with too much money. Headlines that never explained everything. Rumors about construction, clubs, shipping, security. One of those names people in the city knew but didn't say out loud. Her eyes got heavy. Before darkness took her, she heard him say quietly, "You'll thank me when you wake up safe." She woke up to sunlight and silence. The room was big but not showy. White walls, gray curtains, a wide bed with hotel-like sheets. Her clothes were on. Her bag was on the chair. Her phone was charging. A glass of water and painkillers waited on the nightstand. Whoever he was not sloppy. Ava sat up slowly, pressing her hand to her forehead. God. Last night came back in flashes. The bar, the man grabbing her, the other man stepping in, the car, Mr. Conti. She swung her legs off the bed and looked around. Everything was minimal, masculine, organized. Not a married man's place. No pictures, no mess. A place for someone who lived between meetings and trouble. "Good, you're awake." She turned. Lorenzo Conti stood at the doorframe like he owned every room he entered. He had changed clothes. Dark dress pants, white shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. No tie, hair pushed back. He was holding coffee like he had all the time in the world. "You slept," he said. "That's good. Your body needed to process the alcohol." She stared at him. "Did you bring me here?" "Yes. You can't just take a stranger home. You were drunk, and alone, and about to leave with an idiot." "I can do whatever keeps you alive." She hated that it made sense. "I didn't touch you," he added, like he knew she was wondering. "You arrived. I made sure you were fine. I left you there. There's food." "Why?" she asked. "Why do you care?" He looked at her for a moment. Really looked. Messy hair, puffy eyes, heartbroken woman in someone else's shirt of a life. "Because I've seen what happens to women who drink when they're sad," he said. "And I didn't feel like watching it again." She swallowed. He walked to the small open kitchen and set a plate on the table. Toast, eggs, fruit. Normal, simple, not a trap, not an invitation. Just care. "Eat," he said. She sat, suddenly aware that she was in yesterday's clothes. She picked up the fork. "You didn't need to do this," she mumbled. "I know." "So why?" "Because I was there." He grabbed his phone from the counter. "What's your name?" "Ava. Ava Mitchell." He nodded like he was adding it to a file in his head. "Do you live far from Midtown?" "East Village." "Alone?" "Yes. You ask a lot of questions for someone I don't know." "I ask enough to know if you're going to get in trouble again today." She put the fork down. "Look, last night was bad. I don't usually do that." "I believe you," he said. "Pain makes people stupid. You were hurting. You mixed alcohol with not eating. You made yourself vulnerable." His tone wasn't mocking. It was factual. Like he had seen that 100 times in his world of nightclubs, men with guns, girls with no one. Ava sighed. "It's been a bad week." "Your boyfriend?" "Ex-fiancé." He tilted his head. "He left you?" "He cheated. With someone I trusted." The words hurt coming out. "And he left me with wedding costs I can't pay now. And I lost my job. So yeah, it was a bad week." For the first time, something shifted in his face. Not pity. He wasn't the type. But recognition. Betrayal and money. That was a language he understood. "What's his name?" he asked. She frowned. "Why do you need to know?" "Because I just got a call about a man who was at the same bar last week trying to make a deal with the wrong people." "If it's the same name, you're not just a heartbroken woman who drank too much. You're a target." Her heart skipped. "His name is Ryan. Ryan Blake." Lorenzo froze. It was brief, but she saw it. "You know him," she said slowly. "I know people he shouldn't have talked to," Lorenzo replied, voice lower now. "And if he used your name on anything, they won't care that you were not part of it." Ava stared. "Used my name? For what?" "Doesn't matter now," he said. "What matters is this. Go home, don't meet anyone he sends, don't answer unknown numbers, and don't tell people where you live." "That sounds extreme." "It's realistic." He walked to the door, then stopped and looked back at her. "You walked into my line of sight last night," he said. "That makes you my problem now." She blinked. "Your problem." "I don't like loose ends, and you are a very visible loose end." Before she could ask what that meant, he opened the door. In the hallway, a tall man waited. Dark suit, earpiece, watchful eyes. Lorenzo spoke to him in a low tone. "Marco. She's Ava Mitchell, East Village. Keep an eye. Discreet." "Yes, boss." "Boss." Ava's chest tightened. This wasn't just a rich man. This wasn't just a guy with a nice car. This was someone people called boss in the middle of the day. She grabbed her bag and followed him out. The elevator ride was quiet. She could see the city through the glass. New York, busy, indifferent. Somewhere down there, her small apartment waited. Her unpaid bills waited. Her broken plans waited. At the lobby, he turned to her. "You have my number," he said. "Use it if anyone asks about Ryan." She crossed her arms. "You talk like it's sure that someone will." "It is." "Why?" "Because he owes." Lorenzo said simply. And men who are cowards don't pay with their own skin. They pay with people around them. That hit her harder than the hangover. So, they'll come for me? She asked, voice smaller now. He didn't sugarcoat it. If they think you're still connected to him, yes. He opened the building door for her like a gentleman, but the look in his eyes said he was anything but. Go home, Ava, he said. Lock your door, and don't drink alone again. She stepped out to the sidewalk. The wind cut through her jacket. When she turned back, he was already inside, talking to Marco, giving orders. Ava walked away, heart pounding. She had gone out to forget a man who betrayed her, and now she had been noticed by a man everyone else was afraid to betray. Ava thought that once she left his building, the whole thing would fade like a bad dream. It didn't. All the way back to the East Village, she kept replaying his words. Men who are cowards don't pay with their own skin. They pay with people around them. That line sat in her chest like a stone. She got home, locked the door, and leaned her forehead against it. Her apartment was small, a little messy, real. Not like his place, all glass and silence. Her bills were still on the counter. Her ex's box of leftover things was still in the corner. Her makeup from last night was still smudged. The humiliation was still there. She groaned and covered her face. I got drunk in front of a mafia boss, she whispered to herself. Great life choices, Ava. She went to the bathroom, washed her face, took off the bar smell, changed into leggings and an oversized sweater, her normal life uniform. She made coffee. She stared at her phone. No messages from Ryan, no apology, no, I'm sorry I destroyed your life. Instead, there was a new number saved on her phone now, Lorenzo Conti. She almost deleted it, almost pretended she didn't need that kind of man in her contacts, but something in her said to leave it, just in case. While she tried to put her life back together, he was already working. Lorenzo entered his office in the penthouse, the one with dark wood, a city view, and no personal pictures. Marco was already there, tablet in hand. You found him? Lorenzo asked, taking off his watch and setting it on the desk. Yes, boss, Marco replied. Ryan Blake, 33. Finance. Fired 2 months ago. Heavy credit card debt. Tried to start a business, failed, and? He's been hanging around with Damian Russo's people the last 3 weeks. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. Damian Russo was not stupid, but he was messy. He ran his own crew in Jersey, always trying to push into the city. He loved using leverage. Women, houses, sick parents, anything he could pressure, he would. What did Blake want from Damian? Lorenzo asked. Money. Fast. But he didn't have collateral, so he listed assets. Assets, Lorenzo repeated slowly. What assets does a broke-fired cheater have? Marco swiped on the screen and turned it to him. Wedding venue contract, shared lease, joint vendor list. He put her name on everything. Her number too. Lorenzo stared at the screen for a long second. So the little drunk woman from the bar wasn't just a random girl making a bad decision. She was now a name in the hands of a man who loved to threaten people. He gave Damian access to her info? Lorenzo asked. Yes. And did Damian accept the deal? No, but he didn't delete the file either. That was enough. Then she's exposed, Lorenzo said. If they can't find him, they'll try her. Marco nodded. I already have someone watching her building. Good. Keep it discreet. She's not used to our world. Marco allowed himself a tiny smile. I saw that. She talked back to you? Lorenzo smirked once. Yeah, she has no idea who I am. Maybe that's why you like her, Marco said. Lorenzo gave him a look that ended the subject. This is not about liking, he said. This is about cleaning up someone else's stupidity before it touches us. But even as he said it, he saw again how she looked sitting at that bar, trying to act strong, falling apart inside. He had seen women pretend before, but there was something honest in her pain. She wasn't playing him. She wasn't trying to get money. She was hurt. And someone hurt like that was easy to grab. He didn't like that. Get me everything on Blake, Lorenzo said. Where he's been staying, who he's been calling, and if Damian has sent anyone out today. I'll have it in an hour. Make it 30 minutes. Back in her apartment, Ava tried to distract herself with normal life. She cleaned. She put laundry in. She opened her laptop to look for jobs. She answered a text from her friend Harper saying, "Girl, did you survive last night?" Ava typed back, "Barely. Long story." She didn't mention the Mafia Boss. How do you even type that? I got saved by a man people whisper about. Around noon, she went downstairs to grab mail. The building was old but safe enough. She knew her neighbors. The super said hi. Everything was ordinary. Almost. "Hey," the super called from the lobby. "A guy was here earlier asking for you." Ava froze. "For me?" "Yeah, tall, dark jacket. Said he was looking for Ryan first, then asked if you still lived here. I told him I couldn't give out info." Her mouth went dry. "Did he say who he was?" "No, but he wasn't a delivery guy." Ava swallowed hard and forced a smile. "Thanks for not telling him." She took her mail and went back upstairs faster than normal, checking over her shoulder. In her apartment, she locked the door, then deadbolt, then chain. Her heart was beating too fast. This is just coincidence, she told herself. Maybe it was someone from Ryan's work. Maybe. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her blood ran cold. She didn't answer. A few seconds later, a text came in. "Is this Ava Mitchell?" No name, no context, no company. She stared at it, hands shaking. Then she remembered the card on her table. She picked up her phone and, for the first time, called Lorenzo Conti. He answered on the second ring. "Ava." She blinked. "You saved my number?" "I saved your name," he corrected. "What happened?" "There was a man here, in the building, asking for me. And I just got a text from an unknown number. Is that normal?" "No," he said at once. "Don't answer. Don't open the door for anyone." "I didn't." "Good, I'm on my way." "What?" "No, you don't have to." But he had already hung up. She stared at the phone, stunned. Who just says I'm on my way like that? Who drops everything for a woman he met drunk? 15 minutes later, there was a knock on her door. 3 short taps, confident. "Ava, it's me." She checked the peephole. Black coat, serious face, same man. She opened. He walked in like he had been there before, scanning, measuring exits, listening. Marco came in behind him and stayed near the door. "Show me the message," Lorenzo said. She handed him the phone. He read it, his jaw flexing. "They already started," he muttered. "Started what?" she asked. He looked at her. "Pressuring." "I didn't do anything." "I know, but you're easy to reach. Ryan isn't." Ava shook her head. "I don't understand. Why would they come after me? I have nothing." "That's exactly why," Lorenzo said. "People with nothing can't fight back. They scare faster. They pay faster. They agree to things faster." He walked to her window and looked outside. "They probably tracked you from the documents your ex handed over." She stared at him. "You checked, didn't you?" "Yes." "You looked into his life?" "I had to," he said plainly. "If his mess touches mine, I need to know." "And? What did you find?" He took a breath, choosing how much to tell her. "He went to a man named Damien Russo," Lorenzo said. "That man doesn't lend money like a bank. He lends like a wolf. If your ex promised your name, address, phone, then that man thinks he can use you to get what he wants." Ava felt sick. "He gave my info to a criminal?" "Yes." She sat on the arm of the couch, hands in her hair. "I can't believe this. He cheated on me. He left me with bills, and now I have to deal with this too." "You don't," Lorenzo said. "I'll handle it." She laughed without humor. "You? Why?" "Because it crossed my doorstep," he answered. "Because I don't let men like Russo touch what I've seen." She stared at him, confused. "I'm not your anything." His eyes met hers, steady. "You were under my watch when they marked you," he said. "That's enough." There was silence. She lowered her voice. "So what do I do now?" "You do nothing," he said. "You go on with your life. But you don't leave alone at night. You don't meet strangers. and you answer my calls. And if someone else comes here, you call me first, not the police. The police can't handle men like this. He cut in. They work slow. These men don't. She looked at Marco, who was quietly pretending not to listen, but clearly listening. This is crazy, she whispered. I was supposed to be looking for a job today. You still can, Lorenzo said. Just don't do anything outside your routine. Don't go meet anyone who says they're a friend of Ryan, and don't pick up unknown calls. She nodded slowly. Then she frowned. Wait. How did they even know I was home this morning? Lorenzo's mouth was a hard line. Because someone was already watching your building. Watching? Me? Yes. For how long? Long enough for me to get here, he said, which means I need to move faster. He turned to Marco. Double the men on this block. No one comes in this building asking for her. If they do, I want photos. Got it. Ava stared between them. You talk like this is war. It can become one, Lorenzo said. If they think they can use you. She swallowed. And can they? Not while I'm involved. He said it like a promise. Not dramatic, not romantic. Just a statement from a man used to giving orders and having them followed. But for Ava, who had been abandoned by the man who was supposed to fight for her, those 4 words hit deeper than anything. Not while I'm involved. She pulled her sweater tighter. So, am I in danger right now? Yes. Great. He looked at her apartment again. The thin door, the old lock, the windows that didn't seal well. This place is not secure, he said. It's all I can afford. I didn't say move, he said. I said it's not secure. Then he looked back at her, eyes darker now. Pack a bag, he said. You're staying somewhere I can actually protect you. She stared. What? No, I can't just move in with you. I didn't say move in, he said. I said stay. Temporary. Until I clean this up. I don't even know you. You know enough, he said. You know I didn't touch you when I could. You know I brought you home safe. You know I'm the only one telling you the truth. That was the problem. He was. Ava hesitated. What will people think? He almost laughed. You think I care what people think? She didn't. She exhaled slowly. Fine. Just for today. For as long as I say. He corrected. Her brows lifted. You like control, don't you? I run a family, he said. Control keeps people alive. There it was again. The reminder that he wasn't a normal man. He wasn't just a rich guy helping a sad girl. He was a mafia boss securing a vulnerability. But for some reason, with him in her apartment, she felt safer than she had in days. She walked to her bedroom to grab clothes, makeup, basic things. As she threw them into a bag, she saw her reflection, eyes still tired, but calmer now. When she came back, Lorenzo was by the window, watching the street. He turned to her. One more thing. What? If anyone from your past calls you in the next days, he said, don't tell them where you are. Not friends of his, not his family, not even him. He's not going to call, she muttered. He might, Lorenzo said. Not because he cares, because he's desperate. She swallowed. What happens if I say no? She asked. To coming with me? Yes. He held her gaze. Then you stay here, and they come here, he said simply. And if they get to you before my men do, it won't be as polite as a text. Silence filled the room. That was the moment she understood. This was bigger than a bad breakup. Her ex hadn't just broken her heart. He had put her in the path of men who used fear as currency. She tightened her grip on the bag. Okay, she said. I'll go. Lorenzo nodded once, satisfied. He opened the door and signaled to Marco. Bring the car around. As they stepped into the hallway, Ava looked back at her apartment, her small, normal, messy life. She didn't know that by leaving it with him, she was stepping into a world where problems didn't get solved with apologies. They got solved with power, and she had just become the reason a mafia boss was getting involved. The black car slid through Manhattan traffic like it owned the road. Ava sat in the back seat, hands gripping her bag. Her stomach twisted, not just from nerves, but from the feeling that she had crossed a line she could never uncross. Outside, the city looked normal. People walked dogs, bought coffee, checked their phones. Inside the car, everything was too quiet. Lorenzo sat beside her, unreadable, scrolling through his phone. Marco drove, eyes always scanning the mirrors. Ava finally broke the silence. "So, this is kidnapping again, right?" Lorenzo didn't look up. "Voluntary kidnapping? That's not a thing. It is when you get in the car yourself." She folded her arms. "You know, most people would just offer to call the police. Most people don't know what the police can't do," he said. "These men don't wait for warrants." Ava stared at the city lights blurring past. "You sound like this happens all the time." "It does," he said flatly. "But usually not to someone like you." Someone like you. She didn't know if that was a compliment or an insult. The car stopped in front of a tall, dark glass building overlooking the Hudson River. No name on the front, no sign. Just quiet security and tinted windows. "This isn't your place from last night," she said as the elevator doors closed. "No," Lorenzo replied. "This one has better locks." He led her into a penthouse that looked like something out of a movie. Marble floors, gray walls, soft light, one entire wall made of glass. It should have been beautiful, but it didn't feel like a home. It felt like a fortress. Marco disappeared down a hallway. Ava stood there, unsure what to do with her hands. Lorenzo turned to her. "You'll stay in the guest room. If you need anything, call me or Marco. Don't open the door for anyone else." "Anyone else? Who else would even come here?" He ignored the question. "Kitchen's stocked. Don't cook near the alarms. They're sensitive." "I'm not planning to burn your building down." "Good." She rolled her eyes, muttering, "Charming." Hours passed. Ava unpacked the few things she brought and tried to read, but her mind wouldn't settle. Every noise made her jump. The quiet was too heavy. When she couldn't take it anymore, she walked toward the sound of low voices. Lorenzo was in what looked like a home office. Big desk, glass wall, city lights behind him. Marco stood nearby. "They sent someone to check her apartment again," Marco said quietly. He asked about the mailbox, pretended to be maintenance. "Photos?" Lorenzo asked. Marco handed him a phone. "Yes, same guy from Ruzzo's crew." Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "They're getting bold." Ava froze at the doorway. "They went back? To my building?" Both men looked at her. Marco's expression softened slightly, but Lorenzo's didn't. "Yes," he said. "You made the right call coming with me." She crossed her arms. "I didn't really have a choice." "There's always a choice," Lorenzo said. "You just picked the one that keeps you breathing." That shut her up. For a while. Later, she found herself in the kitchen, standing barefoot, staring at the skyline. Lorenzo came in quietly, sleeves rolled up, still looking like control in human form. "You should try to sleep," he said. "I can't," she admitted. "It's too quiet." "You'll get used to it." "I don't want to get used to it." He opened the fridge, poured her a glass of water, and handed it to her. "Drink. You dehydrate fast when you're stressed." She took it, surprised at how normal he sounded. "You always take care of drunk strangers?" she asked. "No." "So why me?" He hesitated for a moment. "Because you didn't ask for this. Because you didn't deserve it." Ava looked at him carefully. "You say that like you know what it feels like." He gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Everyone deserves something. Some people just never get it." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, full of things neither of them wanted to name. The next morning, Ava woke to sunlight cutting through the glass wall. For the first time in weeks, she hadn't had nightmares. But she also didn't feel safe. Just suspended, like she was living in someone else's movie. She walked into the kitchen, wearing one of his spare shirts over her clothes, because her sweater smelled like the bar. Lorenzo was already there, coffee mug in hand, scrolling through a file. "Morning," she said. He nodded. There's breakfast on the counter. Do you ever say please? He glanced up. Not often. She rolled her eyes, but smiled anyway. You know, you're slightly less terrifying in daylight. Don't get used to it. He handed her a piece of paper. It was a list of names and phone numbers. What's this? She asked. People who called your phone in the last 48 hours. My tech traced them. You went through my phone. You gave it to me yesterday. For a second. He ignored her tone. 2 of the numbers belonged to Damien's men. Her stomach dropped. How do you even know that? Because I know every man he sends into the city. Why are you helping me? She asked again, voice low. Really? Because the moment Russo touches a woman to get to me, it's not business anymore, he said. It's personal. She blinked. Get to you? What does this have to do with you? He finally met her eyes. Your ex stole information that belonged to me. The room felt colder. What kind of information? Financial, sensitive. Illegal? She pressed. He gave her a long look. Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. By afternoon, she started to realize how his world worked. Calls came in constantly. Men in suits arrived, murmured updates, left fast. He was calm, efficient, and terrifyingly respected. No one ever raised their voice around him. But when he looked at her, just her, something changed. Softer, slower, almost protective. At one point, she found him staring out at the city. Do you ever stop working? She asked. He didn't turn. When I do, someone dies. That's dark. That's reality. She walked up beside him, the skyline glowing orange. What happens if you fix this thing with my ex? Then you go back to your life. And you? I go back to mine. That simple? It never is, he said quietly. That night it rained. Hard. Ava couldn't sleep again. She walked out to the living room and found him there, still awake, jacket off, tie undone, watching the rain streak down the glass. You don't sleep much, do you? She asked softly. Sleep makes people sloppy. She hesitated, then sat across from him. You really think they'll come after me? They already tried. She shivered. You talk like this is normal. It is for me. I don't belong in this world. Then stay close to me until it's over. The way he said it made her chest tighten. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a flirt. It was a promise. The power flickered once as thunder rolled outside. She jumped. He didn't move. Relax, he said. Backup generator will kick in. You have a backup for everything, don't you? He looked at her. Not everything. She held his gaze. What don't you have a backup for? He smiled faintly. People who make me forget why I started all this. Ava's heart pounded. Before she could say anything, Marco's voice came through the intercom. Boss. We have movement near the building. 2 cars. Same plates as Russo's men. Lorenzo's calm broke for the first time. He stood. Get the elevators locked. Cameras up. He turned to her. Stay here. Wait, what's happening? Trouble. She stood too. Lorenzo. He was already gone, moving like a man who'd done this 100 times. Ava ran to the window, but all she could see were headlights cutting through rain. 20 minutes later, he came back, soaked but composed. He ran a hand through his wet hair. They left, he said, testing the perimeter. Testing? They wanted to see if you were really here. She sank onto the couch. They know where I am. He nodded. They always find out. Her voice cracked. Then I'm not safe here either. He walked over, slow, deliberate. You are as long as I'm breathing. Ava looked up at him. The city lights reflected in his eyes, sharp and protective. For a second, she forgot to be afraid. You should sleep, he said quietly. Can you stop giving orders for 1 minute? She said, half smiling. No, he replied. That's how people die. She shook her head, smiling a little more this time. You're impossible. He leaned closer, his voice low. And you talk too much for someone under protection. Their eyes locked. The space between them felt alive. Then Marco's voice broke in again. Boss, Ruzzo's men are on the move. They just hit one of our warehouses. Lorenzo straightened instantly. Get the cars ready, he said. He turned back to her. All business now. You stay inside. Do not open that door for anyone except me. Where are you going? She asked. To remind Ruzzo that touching what's mine has a price. When the elevator doors closed behind him, Ava stood in the silence of the penthouse, heart racing. His last words echoed in her mind. What's mine? He had said it like a threat, but it felt like something else too. Something she didn't want to name yet. The next morning came gray and heavy, the kind of morning that warned something was about to break. Ava woke to silence again. The city below was already alive, but the penthouse felt distant, sealed from the world. Lorenzo hadn't come back during the night. She paced the living room, checking her phone even though she didn't have anyone to call. Her fingers hovered over his contact name more than once. No. She wasn't going to be the kind of woman who waited for a man to tell her she was safe. And yet, when the elevator finally opened and he stepped out, black coat, wet hair, tension in every line of his body, her breath caught before she could stop it. Are you hurt? She asked, voice smaller than she wanted. He shook his head. No, but someone else is. He walked straight to the counter, poured coffee, and didn't sit. There was blood on his sleeve. Ava stared. Is that? Not mine, he said. She swallowed hard. You were fighting? Handling a message, he replied, eyes cold. They needed to understand that you are not leverage. Her hands trembled. You killed someone because of me? I protected what's mine. She flinched. Don't say that like I belong to you. He turned, eyes sharp. Would you rather belong to them? The silence stretched between them, heavy and raw. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. No one ever does, he said. But it's here now, and you need to decide if you want to survive it. He disappeared into his office, leaving her standing there with a heart that couldn't decide whether to beat faster out of fear or something else. When he finally came back, he had changed. Fresh shirt, sleeves rolled again, composure restored. Eat, he said. You look pale. She frowned. You give a lot of orders for someone who doesn't care. His mouth twitched. You think I don't care? I don't know what you are, she said. You save me 1 minute and terrify me the next. He stepped closer, voice low. That's because the world I live in doesn't have safe versions of men, only dangerous ones who choose where to point it. Later that afternoon, Marco arrived with files and bruises. He looked tired. Ava sat quietly on the couch while they talked. Ruzzo won't stop, Marco said. He lost 2 shipments last month. He's desperate. He'll use her to make noise. Lorenzo leaned on the desk. Then we end this before he gets close again. End this how? Ava asked from across the room. Both men looked at her. Stay out of it, Lorenzo said. No, you dragged me into it. I deserve to know. Lorenzo's voice softened, but only slightly. What you deserve is a life that doesn't involve men like me. Then let me go. He stared at her for a long second. You wouldn't last a day. Her anger cracked through her fear. You think I'm weak? I think you don't know what kind of world you're standing in, he said, and pretending you do is what gets people buried. By evening, the tension in the air had changed. Lorenzo was quieter, sharper. His phone buzzed constantly. His men came and went. Every look between them meant something she didn't understand. She watched him from the corner of the kitchen as he gave orders in Italian, words that sounded beautiful and dangerous all at once. When he hung up, she said softly, You don't have to keep me here. I can find somewhere else to stay. He turned toward her, slow, deliberate. You think a new apartment and a lock will stop men like Ruzzo? No. But maybe... He cut her off. Stop trying to be brave. You don't have to prove anything to me. She folded her arms. And what about you? What are you trying to prove? He smiled without humor. That I can still protect something without destroying it. The way he said it made her chest ache. Hours later, Lorenzo left for a meeting. Marco stayed, silent, guarding the hall. Ava tried to read, but curiosity burned through her. She walked toward the elevator and pressed her ear to the office door. Through the crack, she could see Lorenzo in a dark coat, adjusting his cufflinks, sliding a gun into the holster under his jacket. Her stomach twisted. So it was true. Every rumor, every warning look from strangers. He wasn't just a powerful man. He was that kind of powerful man. The meeting was supposed to be simple, a negotiation, a warning. But Russo didn't understand warnings. He wanted a show. Lorenzo entered a closed restaurant after midnight. The place smelled of old wine and smoke. Damian Russo sat at the table, thick gold chain, grin too wide. "You've been busy, Conti," Russo said, "hurting my men, breaking my deals." "You touched something that wasn't yours," Lorenzo said, sitting across from him. "Her?" Russo laughed. "She's nobody." Lorenzo's hand tightened on the table. "Then stop talking about her." "You getting soft?" Russo mocked. "Didn't think you were the type to play hero." "I'm not playing anything," Lorenzo said quietly. "You go near her again, and you'll disappear." Russo leaned forward, smirking. "You think you scare me?" Lorenzo didn't blink. "I don't think." "I know." A long silence filled the room. Then Russo's grin faded. He realized the man across from him wasn't bluffing. "Fine," Russo said. "But debts don't vanish because you like a woman. Blake still owes me." "Blake is finished," Lorenzo said. "And so is your reach." He stood, tossed an envelope on the table, money, more than enough to buy silence, and walked out before Russo could speak again. When Lorenzo came back to the penthouse, Ava was sitting on the couch, pretending to watch TV. She turned when she heard the elevator. "How was the meeting?" she asked, voice steady. He took off his coat, eyes tired. "Peaceful enough." "Liar." He looked at her for a long second, then sighed. "You shouldn't ask what you don't want to know." "I want to know what kind of man I'm trusting." He walked toward her until he was close enough that she could smell the rain and smoke on his clothes. "The kind you shouldn't," he said softly. "But I am," she whispered. He froze for a second, the first real crack in his armor. Then his hand lifted, slow, almost cautious, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You shouldn't look at me like that," he said. "Like what?" "Like you don't see the blood." Her breath trembled. "Maybe I see something else." He didn't kiss her, but the air between them felt like he already had. Later, after he disappeared into his office again, she sat alone, heart racing. Through the glass, she could see him on the phone, jaw tight, voice sharp, every inch the man people feared. But the man who brought her water at night, who covered her with a blanket when she fell asleep on the couch, he was someone else. Someone she couldn't stop thinking about. She didn't know which version of him was real. By midnight, a storm hit. The city blurred behind rain. Ava stood by the window, watching lightning streak across the sky. Lorenzo joined her quietly. For a moment, neither spoke. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked finally. "Being who you are?" He watched the city. "Regret doesn't change anything." "It changes you," she said softly. "It makes you want better." He looked at her then, really looked, and something in his eyes shifted. "Maybe," he said, "but better doesn't survive long in my world." Ava turned to face him. "Then let me remind you what it looks like." He didn't move closer, but the silence between them said everything. At dawn, Marco's knock broke the stillness. "Boss," he said from the door. "We have a problem." Russo didn't take the deal. Lorenzo's body went still. "What did he do?" "He wants to make it public," Marco said. "He told people you're hiding something, or someone." Lorenzo's expression darkened. "Then he's already made his mistake." Ava's pulse raced. "What does that mean?" "It means," Lorenzo said, looking at her, "the war he's asking for starts now." The word war echoed in Ava's head long after Marco left the room. She didn't know what a war between men like them meant, but the way Lorenzo's expression darkened told her it wasn't something fought with lawyers. He turned to her. "Pack a small bag, just essentials." "Why? What now?" she asked. Rizzo's going to make noise. I need to move you somewhere quieter until I deal with it. Quieter? You mean more hidden? Exactly. Her pulse quickened. I thought you said I was safe here. You were, he said, until this morning. They left at dawn. 2 cars, tinted windows, quiet engines. The city still slept. Ava watched skyscrapers fade into smaller buildings, then trees, then a long private road. When the gate opened, she saw a mansion on a hill. Stone, iron, old money. But even here, guards stood at the corners, radios in their ears. This isn't a home, she murmured. It's a fortress. That's the point, Lorenzo said. Inside it was warmer, quieter. Wooden floors, old paintings, huge windows. But every window had reinforced glass. Every door had a code. You've done this before, she said, half in disbelief. He glanced at her. Protect people? No, hide them. He didn't answer. Hours later, she found him in the library. Sleeves rolled, files spread across the desk. The light from the window hit his face just right, catching the tired lines that only showed when he stopped pretending he was bulletproof. What are you looking for? She asked. Connections, he said. Your ex didn't just owe money. He sold something. She frowned. Sold what? Lorenzo didn't look up. Names, codes, contacts, things he had no right touching. For money? For greed, or maybe stupidity. But the problem is, he stopped, then handed her a paper. He used you to do it. Ava took the paper with shaking hands. It was a copy of a document, something that looked official, full of numbers and signatures. Her name was at the bottom, Ava Mitchell, co-signer. I never signed this, she said. I've never even seen this. I know. But Damien doesn't care about what's real. He cares about what he can use. Her throat closed. He forged my signature. Yes. And your name, was part of whatever he sold? Lorenzo nodded once. She sat down, shaking. So, because of him, I'm tied to all this. He leaned forward, voice calm but firm. Listen to me. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not part of this. He used you because he thought you were easy to forget. That's on him, not you. Her eyes filled. How do you even live in a world like this? I don't live, Lorenzo said quietly. I control, or I lose. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Ava whispered, He's going to hurt you, isn't he? Lorenzo looked up. He's going to try. You're doing all this, for me, and I brought this into your world. You didn't bring it, he said. He did. You're just standing where he left the mess. She stood, wiping her eyes. You didn't have to fix it. I know. Then why are you? He looked at her for a long time. His jaw softened. Because I couldn't walk away, he said finally. Not from you. The words hung there, heavier than gunfire. Ava took a slow breath. You barely know me. I know enough, he said. I know what you look like when you're scared and still trying to be brave. I know you'd rather argue with me than ask for help. I know you think you're broken, but you're not. Her voice trembled. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Because I'll believe you. Lorenzo's eyes darkened. Then believe me. He moved closer, and this time, she didn't step back. When his hand touched her cheek, the world stopped. His thumb traced her jaw, his breath mixed with hers. No one had ever looked at her that way. Not like she was fragile, but like she was his decision. I'm not supposed to want this, she whispered. Neither am I, he said. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, like both of them had been holding their breath for too long. Her fingers clutched his shirt. His hand slid to the back of her neck. The world fell away. No noise, no past, no fear, just heat, and the feeling of something that should have never happened but finally did. When they broke apart, her heart was racing so fast she could barely breathe. He rested his forehead against hers. Tell me to stop. She shook her head. Don't. He kissed her again, slower this time, and everything she thought she knew about him, about herself, shifted. Hours later, they sat on the couch, lights low, rain tapping against the window. Ava leaned into him, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat under her hand. "I don't even know what happens after this," she said softly. "You survive," he said. "And you?" "I finish what he started." She looked up at him. "You're going after Russo." "I have to." "What if you don't come back?" He smiled faintly. "Then Marco knows what to do." "That's not funny." "It's not a joke." Ava sat up. "You can't go alone." "I won't," he said. "But this ends with me." The next day, the air in the mansion was different. Men came and went, phones buzzed, cars idled outside. Everyone was preparing for something. Lorenzo dressed in black, no tie, just a gun at his side. Ava stood by the stairs, arms crossed, trying to stay calm. "Don't do this," she said. "You've done enough." "I do this," he said, "because if I don't, you'll never be free of him." "I don't care about me. I care about you." He turned, surprised. For a second, the boss was gone. The man remained. "I've spent my life being feared," he said quietly. "Maybe it's time someone saw me instead." "I see you," she said. And then he was gone. Hours passed. Ava paced the halls, glancing at the clock every few minutes. Marco tried to reassure her, but his eyes were tight. When night came, she finally dozed off on the couch. A sudden crash woke her, glass shattering, shouting, gunfire. She sat up, heart pounding. "Marco!" He burst into the room, gun drawn. "Stay down, don't move!" "What's happening?" she cried. "Security breach, they found the house!" Before she could react, the lights went out. Men shouted in Italian, then in English. Boots thundered down the hall. Marco grabbed her arm. "Come on!" They ran toward the back exit, but the hallway exploded with sound, smoke, movement. Through the haze, Ava saw two of Russo's men forcing their way in. Marco fired once, twice. One man dropped. The other lunged forward. "Run!" Marco shouted. Ava ran. She turned a corner, coughing, trying to find another way out. Her hands shook as she fumbled with the locked door. A rough hand grabbed her arm. "Found her!" a voice yelled. She screamed and kicked, but the man dragged her toward the stairs. A cloth pressed over her mouth, chemical, sweet, wrong. The world blurred. The last thing she heard before darkness took her was Marco shouting her name and a gunshot. When Lorenzo's car screeched to a stop at the gates an hour later, the front door was wide open. Smoke still curled from the windows. He stepped inside, gun ready. "Marco!" he yelled. Marco was on the floor, bleeding from the shoulder. "They took her," he gasped. 2 cars, North Side Road. Lorenzo's pulse went cold. "Russo?" Marco nodded weakly. "He said, he wants you to come get her yourself." Lorenzo's jaw locked. He stood, eyes like steel. "Then I will." Outside, the storm had stopped. But for Lorenzo Conti, it was just beginning. The mansion still smoked when Lorenzo stepped out of the car. The air was thick with burned wood and cordite, every breath tasting of ash. He walked through the front doors as if he could hold the entire world together by sheer will. "Marco," he called. A groan answered from the hallway. Marco sat against the wall, blood on his shoulder, eyes glassy but alive. "They took her," he rasped. 2 men, SUV, black, North Road, 10 minutes ago. Lorenzo crouched beside him, jaw locked. "Did they say where?" "Warehouse by the docks." Russo's voice on the radio. He said he wants you to come for her." Lorenzo stood. Then he gets what he wants. He took Marco's hand for a second, firm, silent promise, then turned to his men. "Get him patched up. Anyone who can stand with me." Outside, the night hummed with engines and fury. Rain began to fall again, soft at first, then harder, as if the sky knew blood had been spilled. Lorenzo climbed into the lead car. The driver waited for orders. "Warehouse district. No headlights until I say." The convoy rolled forward, 3 black cars sliding through the dark streets like shadows with a purpose. Inside, Lorenzo's phone buzzed. "Boss," a voice said through the line. "We traced the signal from her phone. Docks, Pier 39, heavy guard." Lorenzo stared out the window, then lighted up. When Ava woke, the air felt wet and metallic. The ropes around her wrists bit into skin already raw from struggling. Somewhere nearby, water dripped steadily onto concrete. She blinked against the dim light. A figure moved, a man in a gold chain, smile sharp as glass. "Morning, sweetheart," Damian Russo said. "Welcome to my side of the city." Her throat was dry. "Where's Lorenzo?" Russo chuckled. "Right where I want him, on his way." He crouched beside her, lowering his voice. "You made the devil fall in love. You think that ends well?" Ava glared through the fear. "You have no idea what he'll do for me." Russo grinned wider. "Oh, I do. That's why you're here. Because when men like him love, they lose control. And I want to see what that looks like." He stood, signaling to his guards. "Get the cameras ready. If I die tonight, the world will know who pulled the trigger." Ava shut her eyes. "He'll come," she told herself. "He always comes." Rain blurred the city lights into streaks of silver and gold. Lorenzo's convoy sped through empty streets, tires hissing on wet asphalt. 2 minutes, Marco's voice came through the earpiece from the medical van. "West side entrance has least coverage." "Copy," Lorenzo said. He checked his gun, chambered around, calm as a surgeon. Then to his men. "No mercy for Russo's crew, but the girl, she doesn't get a scratch." The car stopped half a block from the pier. The sea smelled of oil and thunder. Far ahead, a single warehouse burned with light. Lorenzo stepped out into the rain. "Cut their power," he ordered. A muffled explosion answered seconds later. The building went dark. He started walking. Inside the warehouse, men shouted. Flashlights cut through darkness like nervous fireflies. Russo spun, gun raised. "Find him." Ava's heart hammered. "He's here." A shape moved through the shadows. Slow, precise, deadly. One by one, Russo's guards dropped before they could even shout. Then a voice from the dark. "Russo." Russo turned. The muzzle flash illuminated Lorenzo's face, calm, soaked, eyes burning blue-gray. 2 more shots, clean. The last guard fell. Only Russo and Ava remained. "Stop there!" Russo shouted, dragging Ava in front of him, gun to her temple. "Another step and she dies." Lorenzo's gun didn't waver. "Let her go. You can't have her. You don't get to walk away clean after what you've done to my business." "I don't walk away clean," Lorenzo said. "I walk away with her." For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Ava twisted her wrist just enough. The rope around her hand slipped. Russo's aim faltered, 1 breath of hesitation. Lorenzo fired once. The bullet tore through Russo's shoulder. He screamed, dropped the gun, stumbled back. Ava fell free. Lorenzo was there before she hit the floor, pulling her into his arms. "It's over," he said. She clung to him, shaking. "You came. I always will." Behind them, fuel leaked from a broken drum, catching fire from a stray spark. Flames climbed fast, lighting the walls like sunrise from hell. He carried her out through smoke and rain, never looking back. They drove until dawn painted the sky pale gray. Ava sat wrapped in his jacket, staring out at the horizon. Her voice was soft. "You burned everything." "I burned the parts that needed to die," he said. Silence stretched between them, comfortable now. When the road curved toward the coast, she asked, "Where are we going?" "Somewhere quiet, somewhere no one knows your name, or mine." The cottage sat high above the sea, framed by cliffs and wind-bent pines. Lorenzo parked the car and opened the door for her. The rain had stopped, leaving the air cool and clean. When Ava stepped out, the ocean smell wrapped around her, salt, freedom, silence. Inside, the house was simple. White walls, a stone fireplace, 2 mugs on a wooden table. No guards, no noise. Only them. She stood near the window, watching waves break far below. "I've never been somewhere that didn't feel temporary," she said. "You are now," Lorenzo answered. "This place is yours as long as you want it." She turned. "And you?" "I'll stay until you tell me to leave." Ava smiled faintly. "That could be a long time." I hope so. The fire crackled, throwing gold across the room. Lorenzo poured 2 cups of coffee, his version of peace offerings, and handed her one. For the first time since the night they met, there was no danger behind his eyes, only exhaustion and something gentler. You saved me again, she said quietly. He shook his head. No. You kept me from turning into what Russo wanted me to be. That's different. They stood a long time without speaking. Then she set her mug down and stepped closer. You can stop protecting for one night, she whispered. He looked at her, jaw tight. I don't know how. She placed her hand over his heart. Then let me teach you. He drew a shaky breath, and something inside him finally broke. The tension, the armor, the fear of needing anyone. When he bent to kiss her, it was slow, almost cautious, as if he was learning language again. Her hand slid up the back of his neck, pulling him closer. The firelight painted them in amber and shadow. It wasn't desperate anymore. It was surrender. When his forehead rested against hers, he murmured, Tell me this isn't another mistake. She smiled through a tear. It's the first thing that ever felt right. They didn't speak after that. Only the sound of rain returning softly against the windows, and 2 heartbeats finding the same rhythm at last. Outside, the sea kept roaring, but inside, the world finally stilled. 1 year later, spring sunlight spilled across the same cliffs, brighter now, gentler. The cottage had changed. Flowers in the windows, books stacked by the door, laughter instead of silence. Ava stood on the porch, barefoot, a mug of coffee in her hands. Down by the road, Lorenzo was teaching a neighbor's kid how to fix an old motorcycle. He looked up when he felt her watching. That same faint smile, the one he never used to know he had, crossed his face. He walked up the hill toward her, wiping grease from his hands. You're staring, he teased. Just checking you didn't turn back into the scary version, she said. He grinned. That one only comes out when you're in danger. So never again, she said. Never again. They sat on the porch steps, watching the sea. Do you miss it? She asked after a while. The power. The control. He thought for a long moment. I used to think control kept me alive. Now I think it just kept me alone. Ava rested her head on his shoulder. You're still a little terrifying, you know. I try. They both laughed, soft, real. The wind carried the smell of salt and roses. In the distance, the city shimmered faintly, but it no longer owned either of them. Lorenzo took her hand. You ever regret that night, the bar? She looked at him, eyes warm. If I hadn't gone too far, I never would have met you. He nodded slowly. Then maybe it was worth every wrong turn. A gull cried overhead. The tide rolled in, whispering against the rocks like a promise. Ava leaned closer. What do you think we call this part of our story? He smiled. The part where it finally makes sense. The night she tried to forget her life, he stopped her from destroying it. And somewhere between danger and redemption, they both discovered what love is supposed to feel like. Not safe, not perfect, but real. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.